Hi everyone and welcome back. So in this video we are going to deal with the forms, HTML forms. That is really a very important topic, and forms are everywhere. The contact form or a sign up form, login form, every website has some or the other kind of form. Now you just plug this HTML with some framework. So there is a React form, Svelte form, Angular forms, but forms are everywhere, right? And there are specified tags also there, like form tag, input tag, and input tag has all different properties. If you see input type, submit, will it autocomplete? Yeah. So here you can see all the input type: time, text, search, password, text, number, month, image. If you want to upload a file through the form, what is the use of form? Form is used at the client side to submit the data to the server. So you are actually taking the user information, user name, password, first name, last name, email, and all the other information. And these are the type which you will use: input type checkbox, button, input type text, password, range. If you want to set some input values in a range, telephone, email, search, range, radio, all these are input types which are available in the forms. So its input type is submit. So what is this form is about? Form has this action attribute and method, get or post. So what this does is it's going to take the input from the HTML form and it is going to submit all those values to this action. Earlier, back in the days of PHP, we were using these forms, but now not much, because in PHP you were writing a PHP file, server side action. Now you capture the data from the form, like you write on submit here, and in the on submit you just write a simple JavaScript function. When the JavaScript function executes, you get the values from the form using DOM APIs and you submit that form data to the server. Currently, if you are not using DOM APIs, then this is the easiest way, but we are not writing PHP or server-side scripts now. Okay, so this is a simple form, and if you talk about the all possible input types, these are the input type: button to create button, for checkbox, because a form contains what a form looks like. Form can have a input type text field, checkbox, radio button, text area, or a drop down select box, right? Those are all different kind of forms you see. Input form where you are selecting country, drop down, or you are putting a description or about your profile. In input type text area, you are selecting, you are agreeing to the terms and condition, clicking on to the checkbox, and then you are selecting your gender, male, female, or trans. You are selecting through the radio button. So these are all input types: input type text area, radio button, password, and all those. So this is all about forms. Now we will build some simple forms. In this simple form, you can see these are the input type attributes. In this type, we have already seen these are the different possible options. Here, rest all you can just specify the name, ID, value, class, style, all these things. And these are just the labels so that you can show what the input is talking about, or you can use a placeholder. Okay, this placeholder is for first name. I think we already have a placeholder which is John, this value. So we don't need to if you don't want to pre-populate the values, you can just remove it, then the placeholder will take the value, right? First name, and this is the last name, that is a placeholder. These are not the values, but these are the helper text to show, okay, you need to enter these values. And these are the input types. And now if we talk about, because these forms are very important, what are the form element, what are the form types, input attributes, form input attributes. So form can be as complex as you want. So if I talk about a simple form and how we do the validations and all those things, we can talk about using simple examples. So this is the body. We don't have a script. I mean, script is doing nothing right now. I will paste the simple form. What this form is doing: country code. So if you try to enter the pattern which is not matching with this, then it will throw an error, right? So country code is something like, okay, it should start with a character. So these are all validations, because what you are doing is you are taking the input from the user, so the data must be valid. So if you are I'm asking for the email. Let's say if I'm asking for the email and I'm not even passing the correct email, obviously it will complain. Input type ID email, input type email, name email, and you can also specify the regex pattern. There is a big regex for that. Okay, I can also put a label so we can have a nice form. So what are we doing here? Let's say if I'm passing this, right? So what is going to happen is there is already a required attribute we need to add, that this is a required attribute. So currently, whatever you are typing, it is allowing. I mean, required doesn't mean that it will not allow, but this field will not. First of all, the field is valid, and when you are trying to submit, then you can validate that, okay, you can enter only this kind of regex. Let's say if I'm putting this pattern. Let me reload this page. Currently we don't have any submit which submits the form, because on submit of the form we can disable the submission of the input text field. So this is input. When I should see those HTML5 errors. Let's see. So this is a simple HTML form, right, which is taking you the input of the country code and the email, and currently it is enforcing you to follow this particular pattern. So input type, let's say this should be the text. I mean, currently it's email, so let's keep it as email, and here you can specify the email regex, and then you can have input type submit. So this is input type submit. So when you submit, first of all, here you will see these things, that please match the format expected, right? Even if I just remove this regex, will it follow the pattern? Right? It is because input type is email. These are like HTML5 validation errors that really doesn't look that much good. If you want to disable these kind of validations and add your own, you can do no validate. Now it won't validate anything, it will just submit the data. Okay, so this is how you do the simple form validation also, because here you can do a regex pattern and required. If it is required, then it will not allow you to send empty values. Submit, you can see, please fill in the field, please fill in the field. Now it is not matching with the pattern. So first of all, values must be there, value must match the pattern. In the email, value must be there, and value must match the pattern of email. It should be email, right? Because you don't need to specify the regex here if you are using a type email, because it's a format is email. Okay, so this is simple validations. Now you can talk about some advanced examples like this. Here, this is also a form, right? Input type telephone, and you must enter this kind of a data. Here this is a pattern, you can also add a required. So this input, if you are specifying the input, then it must follow this pattern, otherwise you leave the empty. But when you are adding required, that means the value must be there. Okay, so I'm just talking about all the input type properties. Here you can see the required, placeholder, type. So I can see the type, required, ID, name, pattern, title, class you can add, ID you can add, or other attributes you can add, like width, height and size is also there. I think all these attributes you can specify for input attributes, And let's say if I do input type range, what happens? It actually gives you the range parameter, right? Something like this. Input type date, then it will give you the calendar, right? Inbuilt. So this is a Chrome inbuilt calendar based on the input type you have set. So this is pretty much. Let's talk about some more examples.